Imagine, if you will, a Europe not bathed in the gentle glow of enlightenment, but cloaked instead in a shroud of endless shadow. The year is 1348. The air hangs heavy with the stench of rot, and the wailing of mothers cradling lifeless children. The cobblestones slick with filth, the windows of timber-framed homes shuttered against an invisible enemy. And there, slipping through the fog like a phantom, shadow, small, lithe, two eyes glinting like coins of obsidian beneath the pale light of a sickly moon. A black cat, pestilence was relentless. The bodies piled high, carted to mass graves by monks who muttered prayers that seemed to fall on deaf heavens. An unlucky creature spotted too often near plague-stricken homes, too often seen skulking about as death's herald. Was it not logical, in the eyes of a people maddened by grief, that this animal served the devil himself? Was it not obvious that where the cat walked, death followed? And in the darkness of those days, with reason drowned by sorrow, such logic was unassailable. No one was spared. Not the young, not the old, not the pious, nor the wicked. And as death became the only certainty, the human mind, ever desperate for meaning, sought patterns, reasons, enemies. To spare your household from ruin, you must destroy it. And thus, in town squares and lonely crossroads, began the bonfires. Not for witches, not yet, but for these small innocent beasts. The crackle of flames became as common as the tolling of funeral bells. The stench of burning fur mingled with the reek of death, as thousands of cats perished in the name of salvation. A plague, black as the wings of night, sweeps across villages, towns, entire kingdoms. With the cats gone, the rats, true harbingers of plague, flourished unchecked. And so the pestilence spread wider, faster, hungrier than before, but by then it mattered not. The people were too blinded by terror to see the truth. And so they continued, torch in hand, to wage war upon shadows. No one understands its origin. No one understands its cure. An older fear still lingered beneath the veneer of Christian faith. The cat, especially the black cat, was sacred to Freya, goddess of love, beauty, but also of sorcery. As pagan symbols were demonized by the new faith, so too did the cat's image twist in the minds of men. What was once sacred became profane, and so the people turned to what they do understand: fear, suspicion, and the relentless search for a scapegoat. Picture, if you can, a narrow alleyway in the heart of a medieval town. To us, it is nothing more than a creature of instinct, a hunter of vermin, a silent guardian of granaries. But to the minds of those gripped by terror, it is something far more sinister. They whisper that it is a familiar, a demon's servant. They speak of how it slinks unseen, carrying dark magic from home to home, spreading sickness with each silent paw step. But where did this belief take root? Some say it began centuries earlier, in the dark forests of Germania, where old gods, yet the belief did not blossom into horror until the plague came. It is here, in this crucible of suffering, that the black cat's fate was sealed. So began the hunt. From village to village, word spread like wildfire. The black cat is cursed, they said. But the irony, the terrible bitter irony, is that, in their madness, they sealed their own doom. The flames that consumed the bodies of cats were not the only fires that raged across medieval Europe. There burned, far fiercer, the flames of madness, of a terror so complete it left no room for compassion, no space for reason. In every village there were whispers. The old woman who lived alone on the edge of the wood, with her cats for company, surely a witch. The tanner's wife seen leaving scraps for a stray, surely a consort of Satan. To refuse was to invite suspicion. And in an age where suspicion was as deadly as plague, no one dared to show mercy. It was not enough to kill the animal. Now the hand that fed it must burn as well. If destroying the cats had failed, then surely the devil's servants walked among them, hidden in human guise. In their terror of the devil, they became the instrument of his work. Entire generations were scarred, entire regions depopulated. The black cat, once a guardian of hearth and home, had been transformed into a symbol of mankind's starkest folly. The forests echoed with the cries of the innocent, the crackle of flame, the chant of hollow prayers. And through it all, the plague marched on, indifferent, unstoppable. The old, the sick, the strange, all became targets. The bonfires that once consumed cats now devoured men and women accused of consorting with the Prince of Darkness. The black cat became, in every sense, the devil's emissary. Its holy men, clad in robes of coarse wool, their faces gaunt with fasting and fear, fanned these flames. From the pulpits they thundered, "Beware the cat, for it is the devil's mirror. Through its eyes he watches your sins, through its paws he spreads his poison." Papal edicts condemned the black cat as a symbol of heresy. Festivals were decreed, not of joy, but of purgation. On appointed days, cats were rounded up, stuffed into sacks, hurled from towers, or set alight in great public spectacles. And if a creature so small could bear such evil, what then of those who kept them, who fed them, who perhaps, God forbid, loved them? Soon, the line between beast and master blurred, and the church. The people came in droves, not out of cruelty at least, not at first, but because they believed their souls, their very lives depended upon it. But as the cats vanished, another darkness crept closer. The rats, emboldened, multiplied. They scurried unchecked through granaries, feasting on the stores meant to keep towns alive through winter. They carried with them fleas, and in those fleas, death itself. Where once the cat's silent hunt had kept plague at bay, now there was nothing to stop it. The Black Death surged forward like a tidal wave, drowning cities and countryside alike. And as death claimed more and more, the people's fury turned inward. It is a tragic irony. In seeking to purge the world of evil, they created it anew. By the time reason began to flicker anew, by the time voices dared question the slaughter, it was too late. And to this day, when a black cat crosses your path, some still shiver. As if the old fears slumber lightly beneath our skin, waiting for the right moment to wake once more. Centuries passed. The plague subsided, as all storms eventually do. Towns rebuilt. Fields once choked with weeds and haunted by silence bloomed again. But some scars do not fade with time. Some wounds are carved not upon the flesh of men, but upon their memory. For even now, in corners of the world, black cats fill shelters, unwanted, abandoned, especially as the witching season of autumn nears. Even now, they are passed over for adoption, left to languish, all because of a myth born in fire and plague. The black cat never truly reclaimed its innocence. In art, in folklore, in whispered warnings passed from mother to child, it remained forever touched by the shadow. It was upon us, a curse of fear, of the unknown, of the other. A curse that whispers to us in the dark. Blame, destroy, purify. For in doing so, you are not just defying superstition. You are defying the very darkness that once consumed us all. And in heeding that voice, we repeat the sins of the past, dressed in new forms with new victims. A harbinger of bad luck, a sign of coming doom, crossed by a black cat on the road. Best turn back, lest fate strike you down. Dream of a black cat. Misfortune is surely near. But what does this say about us? We, the children of those fearful ancestors. We, who claim to be enlightened, rational, beyond superstition. And perhaps, if we dare look closer, we will see that the true curse was never upon the cat, but there is hope. For history, though it haunts us, also teaches us. When we see a black cat, eyes gleaming like twin stars against the night, we might remember not a demon as familiar, but an innocent soul, a silent witness to mankind's folly. Perhaps in that moment, we can break the curse. So the next time a black cat crosses your path, pause. Offer it kindness.